Hey everybody, we're gonna start in Shavasana. That's a treat. Right? All right. All right. So we're going to start our practice in Shavasana. Um, so as you come to lie down on your back, let's take a moment to ground yourself. Sometimes I think Monday energy, people hit the ground running, and it can be stressful to have, a work week begin, and to set the tone for the week. We're going to start with just coming into some deep rest. I'm going to read you something while you're there. Okay, so as you drop down into that lying down position, start on your back if you're comfortable. Otherwise, you can be in any position that is comfortable for you. And feel the weight of the ground supporting you. Feel your body start to sink. And notice what the difference, at the end of practice, you're so primed and prepped for Shavasana, whereas maybe in the beginning, you don't feel quite the same way as you do at the end. So notice how you feel and sense into your breathing, seeing if you can just bring yourself the gift of healthy, good breathing. All right, and this is a poem, I guess you call it, by Rosemary Watola Traumer. She's written a book called Hush, and this is her poem about, it's titled Shavasana. So once again, the field rehearses how to die. Some of the grass turns golden first, some simply fades into brown, just this morning. I too lay in corpse pose, practicing how to let myself be totally held by the earth, without striving how to meet the day, without rushing off to do the next necessary or beautiful thing. Soon the grass will bend or break, molder or disintegrate. Every year, the same lesson in how to join the darkness, how to be unmade, how quietly we might lean into the uncertainty, how generous the ground. Can you feel that sensing of how generous the ground? And then when you feel ready, first, don't move yet. Just incorporate a little bit more depth into your breath. Maybe your body naturally, instinctually wants to widen out a little bit if you want to move your arms or legs a little wider. Just allow your practice to be about the breath here. We're expanding and condensing. Feeling that tidal rhythm of breath living in each of our cells. Okay, so feel it through your body, not just in your lungs. To recognize that cellular respiration is doing the very same thing, that we're allowing oxygenation to come into our cells. And what's no longer needed, we get to release. Notice if there's a part of you that has trouble settling, and just have one more moment of drop. How generous the ground. And then when you feel ready for some movement, we'll reach our arms overhead and find some good stretching and extending and opening, feeling a nice spaciousness through your side bodies. And then when you're ready, draw your knees into your chest and give yourself a bit of a hug. And maybe a little rocking might feel nice to your body too. All right, and then release your feet down onto the ground. Arms out to the side. Let's start with a little bit of windshield wipering of your knees. Turn your head gently in opposition of your knees. Nice and gentle and slow in your movements. Try to link up your breath with what you're doing. All right, and then bring the knees back in toward the chest. Straighten your arms, hold your knees with your hands, and let's circle the knees here. So a little bit of circling one direction, then a little bit of circling another direction. And then open up your knees, bring them out, bring them in. Just feeling your way into gentle range of motion in your hips. And then your right knee coming into your chest, let's roll around in your ankles and toes. Remember to keep your head and shoulders heavy as you wake up your feet. Finding your breath. And then the other side, left knee in, right leg long, and feel some movement of your feet here. Breathing deeply. And then we'll stretch our limbs out to a star, reaching all the way out. Roll your wrists and ankles, wiggle your fingers and your toes, feeling the edges. Reach out on a big in breath, and as your exhale comes, draw your knees into your chest and pick up your head. Okay, twice more. Expanding open on your in breath, feeling that full body, and on the exhale, drawing in. One more time. A big open breath. Exhale, knees to your chest. Release your head down onto the ground. Cross right thigh over left thigh. Draw your knees in. Maybe a little bit of pulsing here. Maybe a little bit of movement. What feels good? And then we'll switch legs. Cross the left leg over right. Draw those knees in and maybe have a little bit of movement involved here. You can pulse or rock or circle. And then we'll reach out to a star one more time, lengthening through your body. Exhale, knees in, pick up your head, and we'll roll to your side. As you come up to all fours, take your time, finding your way. And as you come onto the ground, let's start to move through your spine, arching and rounding the spine, taking your time to feel your way through your vertebrae. A full breath in, full exhale. Enjoy the rippling through your vertebrae. And then change the pose around any way you want. You can circle through your shoulders, wiggle through your hips, move your head around. And then stretch back toward a child's pose and feel the ground. How generous the ground to support you. Find the length in your body. Melt just a little bit. Okay. And we'll walk our hands over to one side, feeling that side body stretch, opening through your lats, through your shoulders, breathing deeply. Okay. And come back to center. Walk the hands the other side, feeling a drop through your sit bones, lengthening, breathing. And then come back to center, up onto all fours again. And let's just practice a little bit of yielding. So dropping our weight into our right hand and right knee, and then pushing off and feeling that weight bearing over to the other side. Back and forth, noticing the receptivity in your joints, in your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, even your shoulder blades. Feeling that receptivity in your knees and your hips, even into your sacrum. And let's find our twist. Reaching one arm up in the air, extend, and then drop that shoulder down to twist. Finding your breath. All right, and then reach that arm all the way up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground. We'll switch. Arm up, drop that arm under, twisting to the side. And then reach that arm back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, and let's lift to a dog pose. So take some time. As you're here in dog pose, take your dog for a walk, swirl around, move your hips, pedal your feet, rock some weight from one side to the other, whatever feels right for you. And let your first dog be kind of more about an exploration than anything else. Kind of just meeting yourself where you're at. Find your breath. All right, and then walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana, forward fold. Relax here, soften through your skull, melt your head. Let's grab onto the base of the skull and just feel a little bit of spinal traction. All right, place your hands back down onto the blocks. Feel that extension open up to a half lift. Pause here on your blocks or on your legs, and let's take a little time to move around here. So pedaling your feet or exploring the soles of your feet, kind of lifting your toes up and putting them back down. Kind of feel the ground below you. Then while your hands, if you don't have blocks, try putting your hands on blocks for this part. We're going to come up onto our toes. Kind of check in with your toes. How's that feeling? And then we'll come down onto our heels and lift our toes. Kind of check in with that. And just move back and forth a couple of times to wake up your feet. And then ground through the four corners of your feet. And we're going to invert and evert your feet. So rock into the inner foot and then rock to the outer foot. And you can try to pick up the opposite side if that feels comfortable to you. Just kind of getting to know your feet. And then ground all four corners again. And this time we'll melt. Find your forward fold. Relax your head. Push through your feet, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky. Take your time. We've been down for a while, so if you get dizzy, just always know you can squeeze to the midline or take a little rest if your blood pressure needs a moment. Okay, and when you feel ready, we'll cactus open our chest, expand open the heart, and then exhale and round in chin to chest. Rising up, big breath in, cactus open the arms, and then exhale, chin to chest. Let's do it one more time. Feeling that rising tide through your shoulders, open things up, and then bring your hands together. Pause in Tadasana. Let's find this pose. Oftentimes this pose is just kind of a transition for us. Let's make it a destination. Feel your roots of your feet. Notice if you bear weight more in your heels, or if you bear weight more in your toes, or if you like to sink into inner or outer feet, or one foot versus the other. Finding the full breath in, the full breath out, grounding yourself. Knowing where you like to weight bear is a good thing to know. And so unlock your knees, unlock your belly, unlock your pelvic floor, relax the shoulders. You can bring your arms down at your sides if you like, and just have a moment to experience your breath. All right, reach the arms up. Exhale and lower your body down. Come to a halfway lift, extending through the backs of the legs. The heart is open. Melt to fold. Step back to a dog pose. Maybe your non-dominant foot can come back first. Find your way here. Yield into the ground, and then push off the earth to reach in your body. Keep yielding. Keep feeling the generosity of the ground supporting you. Is there symmetry to some extent in what's happening in your left and right sides? Can you breathe well? And let's come forward into a plank. Ground yourself. Feel your roots push the earth away. Heart leaning forward. Shoulder blades moving back. Find your core. Root all four corners of your hands. We'll put our knees down and find the ground. Roll the shoulders a few times here. Inhale for a cobra, a big open chest. Exhale, relaxing back down. One more time. Finding breath. Melting again. Come up onto all fours. Move around in your spine. Wag your tail. And then find a child's pose. Stretching out through your spine again. Reaching through your shoulders. Feeling that compression in your hips and knees. Come on up, bring your hands onto blocks. Bring your right foot forward to a lunge. Keep your back knee down. Okay. Find your breath. We'll go back and forth. High blocks. Put your hip blocks on the high height. And we'll go back and forth between a half Hanumasana and a lunge. Keep your chest lifted and long. Notice your weight bearing. Notice when you stretch your legs straight, can you drop that hip down and lift the heart forward? All right, pause there in half Hanumasana, stretching through your spine. Get a little upright with your torso instead of leaning forward. So reach your crown up to the sky, drop your sit bone down. I like to have a couple of blocks stacked for this variation, but you do you. Maybe that's not a good place for your body. We're going to find a twist. So reach open, reach that right arm back behind you, press your left shin, reach your crown, Open up through your chest. Drop your right hip down. Feel the inner spiral of that right thigh. So your toes are pointing up instead of turned out. And come back into that lunge. Ground yourself with 2 blocks here. Lift your back knee up off the ground. And we'll find our usual movement here. Bending and straightening the front knee. Ground your legs, push through your feet, rising up for a crescent lunge. So we're still on that first leg, we haven't changed. Reaching open through your heart, feel that extension in your body. When we're ready, we'll twist to the side, to the right. Drop your shoulders, open up across your chest. Finding breath. Now, if you'd like to, you can slide that right hand onto your leg and reach up for a little bit of a back bend in this pose, or you can put your hand on your hip. And then relax out of that. Turn sideways on your mat for some wide legs. Release your head down. Find your breath again. Enjoy all the openness through your pelvis. Heel toe your feet in just a bit. Come into a deep low squat here, so legs are wide. Bend your knees, elbows inside your knees, just opening up your inner thighs. Finding breath. Notice the 4 corners of your feet. Notice your weight bearing. Yield and push. Okay. Then we'll turn back to the front of your mat. Walk your back foot forward. Come to Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt to fold. Push through your feet, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky. While you're up there with your hands high, go ahead and come up onto your toes and then back onto your heels. Just a little bit of rocking back and forth. And then we'll come up and stay on your toes. So don't worry if you fall, your heels might drop and just come back again. And you can bring your arms out to the sides or down, whatever feels good for your body. And then put your heels back down and float forward. A halfway lift, opening up through your spine, melting again. Step your right foot back and place your knee on the ground. Finding a lunge on this side. Heart stays open. Feel that reaching. And when you're ready, we'll start to move here. So kind of going back and forth between a good deep hip flexor stretch and then back to a half Hanumasana for a hamstring. And before we hold the poses, just go ahead and move. So going back and forth, kind of warming up our tissues, warming up our joint spaces, moving from extension into flexion. And then when you're ready, we'll hang out in half Hanumasana. Lift your chest, get your blocks a little bit high. So I like them on their high height for this, so that my spine stays nice and long. Okay, so reach upward. Okay, start to come up a little higher and a little higher to the point where you're pretty much upright. And then we'll take 2 blocks or one, your choice, underneath your right hand. Notice if your left hip wants to hike out. See if you can drop that hip down, staying in that vertical line, and we'll reach the left arm up and swing it back. Okay, toes pointing up, drop the hip, relax the shoulders away from the ears, open through your collarbones. Keep your head high. And then relax out of there. Bring your blocks next to your front foot. Come to a lunge. We'll lift our back knee up off the ground and start to move, bending and straightening the front knee, enjoying. And then when you feel ready, ground your legs, root down. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. Lift your ribs off your pelvis. Ground through your feet. Can you feel that sense of yield? And then a push to reach through your body. We'll twist open when you're ready. Turning to the left. Your hands can be on your hips if you prefer. And then if you'd like to add that little back bend, you can take your left hand to your right thigh and reach up with your right arm, or you can put your hand on your hip. Extend open, a lot of balance here. And then come back, bringing the arms up, hands down to the ground, back to a dog. Feel that extension. Maybe take your feet a little wider if it feels nice. You decide. Find your breath. Come forward into a plank. You can put your knees down to support you, roll down onto the ground, and then up to a cobra, melting to fold. Push on up, move around in your hips, wiggling through your spine here. And we're going to grab a strap and come onto our back. And so remember that little mini Shavasana, we're coming back up. But every time you get down onto the ground, give your weight a little bit. Recognize that the earth has got you. With your strap, we're going to wrap it around our right foot and lift that leg in the air. Your left leg can be foot on the ground or leg straight for Supta Padangusthasana. Your choice. Have enough give on the strap where your shoulders are nice and relaxed and your head can get heavy. All right, move your right hip away from your right shoulder. See if you can feel that extension through your spine. Relax your upper body. And point and flex your foot here in this strap. And you can have a little foint in there too. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, it's a foint is when you point your toes toward the sky, but then only flex your toes, but keep your foot pointed like you're on a very high heel. That's a foint. Okay, so you can point, flex. You can even circle a little bit if you like. Find your rooting of your femur bone again. We're going to take the strap into the right hand and open the leg out to the right. So left leg can stay grounded. You can have your leg straight. You can have your knee bent. If your knee's bent, you can butterfly your left knee out to the left. So just find your way into this posture. Rounding the left side of your body, feeling that heaviness in your head again. Opening up through your hip joint. You can even, if you'd like, point your toes down toward the ground so you'll get a little external rotation in there. All right, and then reach that leg back up. Take the strap into the left hand and we'll cross the right leg over to the left. Maybe your right hand can press your thigh away. Feel the crown lengthen, notice the spine. Press through your whole right foot, so the big toe mound and inner heel. It has an even efforting into the strap as your pinky toe. And then lift that leg straight back up in the air. Okay. Take that foot out, lie down on your back for a moment, and just let your body receive that. Notice if your legs feel differently. Okay.
And then when you're ready, we'll put our strap around the left foot. Okay. Reach that left leg up in the air, root the left femur bone down into the ground. Extend the spine well. Move your left femur bone away from your left shoulder. Relax your shoulders. Enough give on the strap where your head and shoulders are nice and at ease. We're not pulling up toward the foot. All right, and while you're here, maybe a little flexing and pointing of your left foot, opening up your calf. Maybe you want to do a little circling. Maybe you want to do a little pointing. Okay, so just kind of find what feels good in that foot. All right, we'll take the strap into the left hand. Before you move your leg out to the left, feel the weight of your head on the ground. Try to align your body in neutral on the ground. So when you open up your leg to the left, we're not listing to the left, we're grounding through the right side of our body. Breathing. Maybe you want to lift your heel and drop your toes toward the ground. Check in, make sure that the stretch is happening in your inner thigh, inner hamstrings, not your knee. You don't want to have the epicenter of sensation at your knee. All right, and then when you're ready, we'll lift that left leg straight up in the air and cross your left leg over to the right. Long spine. Imagine you're on the ground, or on the ground, standing on the ground with your right foot. So push your right foot into an imaginary floor. Reach your crown. Cross that leg over. Maybe left hand sinks into the hip crease a little bit to give a little gap in that hip joint. All right. Lift that leg back up. We'll put 2 feet into the strap. Just let your body come into neutral. Hold happy baby just for a moment. Keep the strap in your hands, but just grab your feet and the strap. A little bit of a happy baby to stretch your back. And then we'll lift your feet straight up into that strap. Extending through the hamstrings, extending through the calves, extending through the spine. Move your femur bones away from your crown and drop them into the earth. All right, and then relax your legs. Put your feet on the ground. Get rid of the strap. We'll need it in a moment, but don't need it at this moment. Hands out to the side, windshield wiper your knees. Just relaxing into a twist. Turn your head in opposition if you'd like. Breathing well. Okay. Shift your hips over to the right. Pick up your knees, drop them to the left, and go into a more complete spinal twist here. Letting your thoracic spine open up, turn your head. And lift up. Bring your knees left, or sorry, hips left. Drop your knees right. Twisting open. Find your breath. Melt your head. All right, roll back onto your back. A big giant star reaching your limbs. Let's roll your wrists and ankles again. Exhale, knees into your chest. Roll to your side and come on up. Come to all fours. All right, stick a block between your shins. It can be at the middle width, maybe. Try the middle width. You can always go wider if you'd like. We're going to just do a couple of cat-cows. As you inhale, release tension from the block, lift your sit bones. And as you exhale, hug the block around the spine. Keep moving. Inhale, releasing the block. Exhale, hugging the block. One more time. Arching the back, inhaling, release the block. Exhale, round the spine, grab the block, give it a good hug. And then relax. Curl your toes under, keep the block, lift up to a dog pose with the block between your shins. See if you can both hug the block and drag your feet apart simultaneously. Just turn on a lot of these stabilizing muscles of your pelvic floor, of your outer hips. All right, and then jump or waddle your feet forward. Keep that block between your shins. And forward fold. Isometrically drag your feet apart and grab the block. And then relax, melt that. We're going to repeat that one more time. You can use your other block for your hands if you want. Bring your hands up on it. Half lift, hug the block, and drag your feet apart. So see if you can feel both the pelvic floor and the outer hips kind of turning on to help you support, and then relax to melt. Release the block, push through your feet, rising up. Trace down through the center. Pause here. Right. So get used to being standing again. Sometimes when I feel a little dizzy from my blood pressure dropping, bouncing helps me. Sometimes squeezing to the midline helps me. So if you feel like, you're vulnerable any which day, sometimes it can be dehydration. Sometimes your heart rate variability isn't so strong on a certain day, and you can get dizzy if your blood pressure drops. So care for yourself. Okay. All right. You don't need the strap yet, but we'll need it in a moment. Let's bear some weight into our right foot, and we'll lift up our left knee and just get used to balancing. All those muscles we just woke up in the pelvic floor and then the hips, see if you can let them stay turned on. Notice all the ankle mobility and the awareness in your feet that you've cultivated. Have the ground. How generous the ground. It's got you. And then put that foot down. In simple stork pose, we'll stand on our left foot, bring our right knee up. Notice if you sank, a lot of tendencies is to push to push the thigh and the pelvis forward instead of staying right over your foot. Another tendency is to sink the hip out to the side. Another tendency is to lock the knee. So check in and make sure that none of those are happening. And then go ahead and put your foot back down onto the ground and just receive the ground. You can jump if you like to. I learned last week that one of the good things you can do for your bones as you age is to do 20 jumps a day. And it could be jumping down off a step, like 8 inches or so, to have a thud, where you thud onto the ground. It could also just be 20 jumps, okay? So if your knees don't like that, then you can find other ways to have that weight bearing. But if your knees and hips and ankles and everything can handle some thudding, add some thuds to your day. All right, so ground yourself. Be still for a moment. And we'll take the strap. We're going to do some balance. So before we do it, just ground yourself. And if you sense that you need support, the wall, you can find a wall to be close by. All right, we're going to bear weight into our right foot and we're going to lift our left foot in the strap. I'm going to move my blocks out of the way just in case I need to put my foot down so I don't step on them accidentally. All right, so lift your knee, hand on your hip, and we'll extend that leg straight out. Notice if you're pushing your hip forward, draw that right hip back, hips in, unlock your knee. Feel your pelvic floor and the outer hip support.
Think of that Supta Padangusthasana we did on the ground. Okay, and then take the strap into the left hand and open out your leg to the left. Try not to lean. Okay, we're staying upright. Even if your foot has to be low, that's great. That's a really good pose to have your foot low. So anything to support that sense of stability in your side, right side. All right, and then we'll bring that leg back to neutral. Switch hands. Right hand on the strap, twist open. Try not to lean your torso back and your hip forward. Take your hip back and your crown over your tail. Root to rise. And then we'll release that and soften our 2 feet on the ground. And you can take your feet maybe a little wider. You can sway your hips if you want, whatever's going to feel releasing. You can jump again. You can bounce. You can be very still. So however you want to kind of release the tension is great. Okay. Now we're moving into the standing weight bearing on the left. Again, if you feel like you need a wall, have a wall close by. And we'll stay grounded, rooted in our left foot, and we're going to wrap the strap around our right foot. I like to have 2 hands on the strap for this variation, and we'll stretch that leg straight out in front of you. Try not to tip back. Thigh back, hip in, unlock your knee. Root to rise. Relax your shoulders. Come into your breath. When you feel ready, you can take the strap into your right hand, okay, and we'll slowly open the leg out to the right. Hip in, spine long. Try not to push your hip forward. See what you can do to stay stable. Reach through your crown. And then we'll slowly bring that leg back to center. Switch the hand on the strap and twist open to the right. Toes point straight up, left thigh back, hip in. If you lose your balance, it's totally fine. You can always just regain. Reaching through your crown, breathing deeply. And then we'll come back to center and release the strap. Okay. Pause here again. Maybe a few jumps, maybe a few bounces, maybe a little bit of a wiggle, maybe a little sway from side to side. You decide what feels best to release. And stand in Tadasana for a moment. Just be so ever thankful for the stability of your legs. Feel the soles of your feet, the bottom of your feet. Notice where you make contact. Pay attention to if you lose contact, the way you naturally stand, are you weight bearing through all 4 points of your feet, or do you lose one? Okay. Inhale, rise up, find your breath. Exhale, floating forward, open your back up. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release. Step back to a dog. Feel that extension in your body. Full breaths here. All right, we're gonna come forward into a plank. Hold that steadiness. Enjoy the sense of symmetry and kind of closeness to the center line of your body. Enjoy 4 points of contact on the ground. And then we'll find the earth. Maybe you want a different back bend. Just kind of find what your body's looking for. Melting to the ground. Bring your hands underneath your forehead.
reach back and grab your left foot and just stretch your left quad. You can always turn on over onto your side if you prefer to do a quad stretch on your side. And just enjoy lengthening through your quad here, breathing deeply. And then we'll switch sides. Bring the other forearm under your head. Grab onto your foot. Tail long. Again, if you'd rather be on your side, be on your side. And then we'll release. Come up on tall fours. Move around in your spine. And then we'll come back to a child's pose. Oh. We're going to do a pigeon pose. Of course, you can do a reverse pigeon pose if that's better for your joints. But if you're joining me, if you want some props, take some props. I always have a blanket. Maybe you need more than that, maybe you need less than that. Just kind of see what feels right for you, whether you want something just underneath your right sit bone or if you like it under your left thigh as well. We'll feel that extension and length in your body, feel a sense of the joy of opening up your hip, and then we'll come to rest in a supported pigeon pose. Okay, so scan your body, know if you're in a good place. Breathing deeply. Is there any way for you to release a little bit more here? Can you check in to make sure that you're not leaning over into that right side, but feeling equality across your pelvis? How's your breath? Coming up when you feel ready. Transition to the other side however you like to transition. You could do a dog pose if you'd like. If you're on your back, you can just switch your legs. So any which way, don't assume that the two sides are the same because they probably are not. Okay. Once you get into your pigeon and you have the support that you need, maybe hands on blocks to lift first and feel that extension in your body. And then we'll find our way to rest down. Square your hips, lengthen your spine, and melt.
Let's go ahead and find our way out of this pose. Okay. Let's come down onto our back. So we're gonna have Shavasana in a moment, but first let's come onto our back. Put your feet on the ground, and we're going to do a restorative bridge pose. So grab your block, okay, and we'll sit it underneath our sacrum. And you can decide. I'm not resting on the low height. Maybe you want to be on the middle height. Just kind of see what feels good to you. Make sure your full sacrum feels supported. And so let this be about nurturing, just about settling. You know, a lot of what we did today was weight bearing and asymmetry. So we want to just weight bear in symmetry right now. So just bear the weight of your pelvis down onto the block. Feel the grounding of this. Open yourself up into the breath. A full inhale, full exhale. You can stay here as long as you like. You can also experiment with some different movements. If you want to bring your knees toward your chest, you can do a happy baby on the block, knees into your chest with your pelvis on the block, legs straight up in the air. Whatever you're doing, choose symmetry. So we're keeping our legs in, doing the same thing left and right. As we're treating our sacrum with some respect. Breathing well. Any of those variations, a bridge, a happy baby, knees to chest, or legs up, your choice. All right, and then when you feel ready, we'll come out of there. If there's anything else your body needs to prepare for Shavasana, great. Otherwise, just find Shavasana. And as you relax down, if you need support, take support. I'm going to read the poem to you one more time as you settle into Shavasana. Drop your shoulders. Feel your body weight coming into the ground. Once again, the field rehearses how to die. Some of the grass turns golden first, some simply fades into brown. Just this morning, I too lay in corpse pose, practicing how to let myself be totally held by the earth, without striving, how to meet the day without rushing off to do the next necessary or beautiful thing. Soon the grass will bend or break, molder or disintegrate. Every year the same lesson in how to join the darkness, how to be unmade, how quietly we might lean into the uncertainty, how generous the ground. Just drop your weight. Find your breath. Melt anything you can. When you feel ready, let's begin to deepen your breathing. Invite some movement, any bit at all. Start by wiggling your toes or moving around in any way that serves. And let's find our way onto your side, taking your time. Use your arms to come up to a comfortable seat. And let's offer the gifts of our practice. Send your energy outward to another. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.